Good morning and welcome to Presence of Light with Charlie Riverman. It's always a joy to be here. It's my pleasure to be present, to be seen, to be heard. Each of us on this journey are here to uplift and encourage each other to be the highest they can possibly be. And today, the message came about our divine masculine and feminine self, to speak on that and to speak about the disclosure of that and what that means for each of us. It's not coming from a place of expertise, believe me. I'm in my journey as well as you are, discovering who we are and how we relate to each other on deeper levels. As we settle into this, I just want to welcome you all and ask you to open your hearts, your minds, and take a deep breath of resonance to just gather yourself and know that this is a safe place. I'm a safe person. And each of us are here to reflect who we truly are during these times of extreme unbalance in the collective consciousness of humanity. And so that's what this talk this morning is really about, is bringing back some balance. And my message has been, we don't start at the outer limits of the chaos and try to enclose that, but we start at the heart center. And for me, what is the heart center all about but the balancing of my masculine and feminine energy? And so as I thought about that, I realized that we have many different concepts of what that is, what it looks like, how it's exposing itself. And many of us are being triggered right now by a lot of what's happening with the exposure of people who have used their masculine or feminine energies incorrectly, or to take advantage or power over somebody. And that's truly a shame, and we've been doing this for thousands of years. So with that, I guess the message is let's all begin to stop that, and not, as I said, not from the outer edges of this, but from the heart center. And let's work from within ourselves and disclose this to ourselves. So the word disclosure, and I'm going to start basically saying, good morning, Elia, Angela, Luke Bone. Pleasure to meet you all here. The interesting thing for me was the word disclosure. And as I look for my notes here, the thing that came up was the fact that most people these days are crying for disclosure of extraterrestrial intervention and the existence and the relationship we as humans have had with those for forever. And I find it funny because I don't have a problem with that at all. What I have a problem with is within me, and disclosing to myself my own issues around masculinity and femininity. And what I realized that most of the trust issues with myself and with others all stem from this misunderstanding of my masculine and feminine energy. And I'm going to post a picture if I can figure that out right now. Write a comment. I don't know if I can. Well, it's not going to let me post a picture. Okay. Well, I'll post it later in the comments. But it was basically a chart that I found on Beyond the Ordinary show by John Burgos, and it was listing masculine qualities and feminine qualities. And I thought about this, and as I read down, I'm just going to share with you. Masculine qualities would be logic, reason, action, firm, survival, loyal, adventurous, rational, and strength. And those were words just described. Feminine qualities were intuition, nurturing, healing, gentle, expressive, wise, patient, emotional, and flexible. And when I looked at that, I said, well, I can agree with all of those. But then I have to realize that within my own self, I have as many feminine attributes as I do masculine attributes. And so it was disclosing to me, revealing to me that this concept of duality, that in order to be a true female or a true male, you have to have a majority of one or the other. And I realized that it's time we start to pull these labels off and then disclose to ourselves exactly what we're feeling and own it and love it or forgive it. Whatever we need to do to move beyond it, because we're stuck in this paradigm of owning labels and saying, well, if I'm not this and I'm not that, then does that make me not male? Does that make me not female? And then when we go into looking for relationships with each other, we're so messed up. No wonder we can't have a decent relationship, because we're always stuck in this imaginary world of ours of what we think masculine and feminine are. So that was the message. Let's start disclosure to ourselves. And disclosure is basically, the definition of that is to expose or reveal something. So what I want to talk about is revealing your masculine or your feminine self to you, the one who carries it, and get out of the, foray of what it should look like or what somebody else thinks it should be, and begin to own it, and maybe forgive yourself for not owning it, and look at it as this is who you really are, as a divine creator being. And I say that because we were all created in the image. Well, what is that image? It's a creator. I don't care which name you put to it. It was a creator. We were created in the image of our creator. So therefore, this is not just a snapshot. This is not just FaceTime. We are fully embodied creator beings. Morning, Gemma. And we need to start honoring that. And the basic premise of that is we need both of our masculine and feminine attributes and energies to work together. We can't continue having the masculine over here and the feminine over here, or vice versa. And the one saying, no, it's my day today, it's your day today. No, you can do, no, it doesn't work like that. This is the mess we're in. And this is the mess that we've been played upon and perpetuated for thousands of years. So in order to expose ourselves, funny word, isn't it? We have people who are on trial now who are exposing themselves or exposing their body parts to each other in a very sick manner. And they think that's perfectly fine. Yet they won't expose them to themselves the fact that maybe that is not really what my masculine or my feminine side how it should relate to itself. So we have this inner chaos that is actually spilling out and exposing itself to others unwillingly. And we need to call it back. I can't do anything about the perpetrators. I can't do much for the victims. I've been a victim. So I know full well what it's like to experience that. And it's not pleasant. It changed my life in a lot of ways as far as being able to have a relationship with a woman or even a male that was deep and intimate. And so most of my life, I've lived half a life. And this is what I'm really beginning to understand, is that this trauma and these traumas that are caused by our not embracing both our masculine and feminine energies, by separating them and keeping them separate in different rooms and of our mind compartments, we're actually diminishing the wonder and the beauty of our living experience as humans. And I see that each of us right now have an opportunity to change that. So some of the definitions came up for disclosure were discover, and I say discover it within yourself. Uncover the layers of programming that we've been fed, whether intentionally or accidentally, that no longer really hold truth as far as who we are and our capability to understand loving and intimacy with each other, be it sexual, verbal, or, in any dimensional experience. And then we need to acknowledge this disclosure is an acknowledgement. And who really needs to acknowledge that? But us, we the sovereign beings need to acknowledge that and acknowledge that it's part of our wholeness and that we are not complete without either masculine or feminine. So to continue this, I'm a male or and separate that, continue, is really denying ourselves the full experience of the beauty, the intimate beauty of who we are and what we can share with each other and what we can share with ourselves. This is what I've discovered, is that I robbed myself. And it's a big pill to swallow. It's not easy. I'm not in an age where I can recover a lot of it. But I know in my heart that from this point on, I live better every day and I live more intimately with the people that I encounter. And I live more intimately with myself. And that's beautiful. That's blissful at times. And we deserve, not only deserve, we are here to experience blissfulness. In spite of what anybody else wants to tell you. I'll be the first person to tell you this is what we're here for. We are peace, light, and love, and it's about time we stood up and acted like it. So acknowledging this, then admitting to ourselves, who are we admitting to? We're admitting to the ego mind, who loves its constructs, it loves its programs, it's the gatherer of information, and it's a beautiful tool. But it's run amok. It's run amok, and it's been allowed to run amok. And you can see now where we even are entering the age of artificial intelligence. Well, if this human mind can create this chaos, the potential for an artificial intelligence to create more chaos is perfectly in alignment. And I don't say that as a threat. I just look at it as to say that this mind that we have is, in essence, a form of artificial intelligence already. Its intelligence is gathered by gathering information. And this is what AI is. They just mimic the brain. What is the brain doing? It's gathering information and categorizing and putting it into little slots and pockets. And then when it needs it, it compares it and then causes a reaction. This is what your brain does. It's beautiful. Love it. Thank you. But it's not who I am. And it's not who you are. And that brain can't conceive intimacy. That brain cannot feel the depth of love. It cannot experience bliss. You, the divine soul being, is what experiences that. The brain records it. It will memorize it. It will put it in its proper shelf, in its proper slot, in its proper hard drive, and store that for future reference. So too, every negative experience that you have with intimacy, personal relationships, questioning your masculinity or your femininity, that gets stored there too and played back to you over and over and over again. And when you meet somebody that you just feel this wonderful connection with, you go into fear, or you go into aggressiveness, and you go into all of these energy forms, because the brain doesn't know how to handle that. That has to be handled through the heart. So we have to admit that we have a lack of acceptance of this beautiful masculine and feminine energy in cooperation. And then we have to reveal our fears. And that's not an easy one, believe me. What are our fears? And what have our fears of it done to us as these beautiful divine beings we are? And it's going to take a lot of soul searching and a lot of time. And be gentle with yourself. Be kind. Be loving. Don't try to do it in a day, in a week. Just gently, gently, gently open the doors, the closed doors, and peel off the labels, and just look a little longer, or just feel a little deeper. And forgive yourself all the while you're doing it, knowing that this is the opportunity you've been waiting for, and you are the master of this opportunity. And with that, we make a declaration. Declare our commitment to being whole again. Because we're not whole. We're wonderful, we're beautiful, but we're not whole. And this is why you see the chaos, and this is why we're experiencing this. And it's intentional. We've on many levels created this in order for us to call ourselves back from the edges to come back into the center. And the last word was enlighten, was a definition of disclosure, is to enlighten. So how do we enlighten? Well, we enlighten each other with a deep sensitivity that begins to arise within us. If we can't be sensitive and loving and kind and intimate and yet strong and whole within ourselves, how do we expect to have a relationship with each other? It begins in here. And this is where I look at myself and realize that all my healing over the past 20 years, whatever we want to call it, the changes, the awareness have not really been a healing. There's just been a change in my attitude, how I look at things, how I relate to myself. And in doing that, I relate differently to others. And so this is the balancing. This is the divine masculine and the divine feminine self, capital S self, that needs to be brought forward, that needs to be embraced, that needs to be recognized, that needs to be talked to, nurtured, cared for. This is you. You are this divine masculine feminine self. And the imbalances, there will always be some at some point in time. We're going to be a little bit more feminine or a little bit more masculine at certain times, depending on who we're with. We're going to balance their masculine or feminine energy. It's a beautiful experience when we can relax and let go and have no fear of being attacked or overpowered, or no fear of somebody using it against us. And why have we done this? We have done this because thousands and thousands of years of our evolution it began long ago. And in our DNA, we carried the genetic formula for this to perpetuate itself. It's in our DNA. And many of us have to just wake up and say, no more. I do have power over my genetic codes. People are going to look at me as if I'm crazy. They're going to say, oh, no, you can't. I heard a conversation the other day, and somebody was saying that, then somebody was telling them, oh, no, you can't change your genetic codes. Well, I'm going to be one of the crazy ones and tell you, you can change your genetic codes. Exactly how, I don't know. But I know that as a divine sovereign being who is a creator, I have that power, and so do you. We just haven't accessed it yet in our fullness. And partly because we've been so divisive with ourselves. We keep separating ourselves. And we need to come back to this wholeness, embrace this divine and feminine aspect. It's the polarity. It's the yin and yang. It's the up, the down. It's the duality, the polarity, whatever you want to look at it. It doesn't matter. It's all basically the same. And we just need to sit within our hearts and recover who we truly are, and forgive ourselves and be kind to ourselves. So I'm just going to read what I started to write this morning, and I was up at 3:45 this morning. Yeah, lovely time of the day, and preparing for this, and I have no clue. It's like just comes and I talk, because when I threw out the words last night, I said, ooh, that's a tough one, kids. I don't really know much. I'm learning this myself. And so I share it with you for what it's worth. In order to reach our greatest potential as humans, and I will post this later, we need to incorporate and balance our internal divine masculine and feminine energies. Equally inherent to both men and women are our behaviors, thought patterns, and tendencies to dictate, and the balance of these complementing energies. Yet we have lived in a storyline that has promoted individuality as separation and carried it to a very dangerous extreme. Each of us carry a complex psychological and emotional makeup of past experiences, learned behavior, and self-discovery, which contributes to our internal well-being and our external reality. We are also carrying genetic memory through our DNA, which has both an individual and collective effect. that perpetuates the illusion of separation and denial. This dissonance, both in this lifetime and our DNA, cause one or both energies to be out of balance, stagnant, oppressed, confused, or disrespectful in some manner. Then as well, we oftentimes add to the mix self-imposed thoughts of inadequacy, self-loathing, or doubt, which tend to be the greatest perpetrators of imbalance in the masculine and feminine energies. And yet, above all this, and deep within us, there is this purity of balanced divine masculine and feminine, which is what we are now being called to embrace as fully as we are possibly able to. And each one of you, I know, feel that in your hearts. We want that compatibility. As much as we want it outside of us, we want it inside of us. And the key to the doorway of this lies within your heart and is within reach if you so choose to accept your own misunderstandings of the full potential of who you are as divine creators. And so you'll hear me talk about that a lot. And I'm truly blessed to understand that on levels that I never understood before, and assure you that as you journey through this, you too will see things completely differently and not fear them. The last paragraph is it takes transparency and forgiveness to come to terms with every aspect of our inner fears and doubts. But it all begins with being truthful about our energy and emotion. We must all let our barriers down and open the closet doors. We are wasting our energy on keeping shut. So yes, we have a lot of closed doors. They're closet doors, and it takes a lot of energy for us to keep them closed. And the more energy we expend on hiding all of these things that are uncomfortable, we don't like, away from our true vision, the weaker and weaker we become. And we become the invitation for depression and illness. And so it's a great healing. Although I've said I don't believe anybody needs to be healed, I believe that we just need to come back to our true soul self of who we truly are. And it doesn't take medication. It takes self-discovery and disclosure of all of these things to ourselves. When we go to the doctors and the shrinks and whatever we go to, the healers, what do? We express all of this to them. Why aren't we expressing this to us? We are the healers. And again, at times it'll be scary and contradictory to everything we have ever felt was truth. But in the end, you will be closer to your divine self for the process. I've got a couple of minutes left. And years ago, when I first started on my journey, I didn't know who I was, and I didn't know what I liked. I didn't know what I didn't like. And I put a piece of paper on the wall, and it had two columns. You could do two pieces of paper. And I put what I like and what I didn't like. I made a list, and every time I said I didn't like something, I put it on that like list. And didn't pay any attention to what it was. I like ice cream, I'll put over there. I like toast, I'll put over there. It doesn't matter. It can be anything. What I don't like. If I got angry, I don't like. And after a month, I looked at that. And I said, wow. That wasn't somebody else telling me that. That was me telling me that. And the power in that was just amazing, because I really got to see after the fact, after the energy had all died out, what I was feeling. And so my suggestion is for each of you to do that with your questions about your masculinity or femininity. I feel feminine about this. I feel this is my femininity. I feel masculine. So put feminine and masculine. And begin to learn when you're feeling masculine. What you do, you put it down. I'm building a house. I feel masculine. I'm kissing my dog. I feel feminine. And I'm going to do this. This is fun for me as well. So I'm not telling you something that I've done. I haven't. I'm going to experience this. And because I want to know where and when I'm feeling masculine and when I'm feeling feminine. And I want to embrace both of them. And I want to bring them both together, face to face, and have them look in each other's eyes within me and say, wow, you are amazing, aren't you? And so with that, I bow and I say to you, wow, you are amazing, aren't you? Take a deep breath, release, relax. Know that you're loved more than you will ever understand in this human body. Know that you are more precious than you can ever think you are. And I want to thank you for being here this morning as we journey together, opening to the presence of light within our own hearts. I thank you. I love you. I respect you. Have a wonderful week and get those 2 pieces of paper going of when you feel masculine and when you feel feminine. I'm going to do it. I may not report on it next week, but just be gentle with yourself and know that there's a way out of all of this destruction and chaos, and it starts within your heart. Thank you, and bye-bye.